I'm Lisa Wallen with Directional Learning, and today we're going to be sorting our alphabet letters. There's 26 letters, but I only have a few to show you first. I'm going to show you how to play a quick game so that you become familiar with the letters, and you'll be able to link the letters in our directional columns. Do you see our directional columns? You should have learned about our direction already. So, just for a review, this is the left. This is the middle, and this is the right. And remember, we can count to get direction too. This side is the one lefty dragon with his tongue sticking out. And here is our mountain monsters that just get the dance in the middle. And our number 3 is our bouncy road. And all you do, see the road, see the rocks? If you follow the rocks, that will always take you to the right. And do you see our red reptile tree? That's for right. See the road? If you follow the road, that will take you to the right. And remember, the mountain monsters just dance in the middle. That's the middle. And for the left, see this star here? You make a wish and see the stars outside the window? That will take you to the left. And same thing with our one lefty dragon. See his tongue? If you follow his tongue or his breath, that takes you to the left. So you learned about direction really quick in just a few minutes. That's kind of how our letters are going to work. Our letters are going to have direction. I'll show you. So first, I might call out the sound ah. You'll grab it down here. This is the ah, and we're only using our short sounds, our baby sounds. We're not calling it by the letter name. The letter name is A, but we're not calling it that today. We're only calling it by a short sound or baby sound, if you want to think of it that way. So the sound is ah. Now, do you see this bump here? Which way is the bump pointing towards? It's pointing towards the capital L building. So the bump is not pointing towards the reptile tree, so it gets to live in the left. So let's make it live in the left. I want to show you a picture of our apple on the stick because a lot of times we're going to be talking about the character, and we call this the apple on the stick. Now, our apple on the stick used to have a long stick like this, but then that cat came by. See the cat? It's in the letter, and it broke the stick. So now we have a short stick. And just remember, so if that cat came by and it broke your stick, then you cried like a baby. Ah, ah, ah. So that's an easy way to remember the sound. So just remember, you always look at the bump and you follow that bump. So it lives here in the left. Now, all our other letters that I'm going to show you, they're all going to have tongues, the ones that live in this column. I'm going to show you another letter that lives in the left. Now, here comes my climbing cat with his tongue stuck out. Do you notice that it's a cat and it has its tongue sticking out? So if we were to find the letter down here, this is the letter without the picture. Can you see? So we have to use our imagination. I just said that this is our climbing cat with his tongue sticking out. So see this bump? The bump is pointing towards the left. And this is the cat's tongue. So we kind of have to visualize that. So follow the bump. So our climbing cat will live over here. And here's our letter. So do you see his tongue sticking out? So he lives in the one direction. And notice how he's sticking his tongue out like the one lefty dragon? So any animals that are sticking out their tongue will live by the one lefty dragon. So just remember, once you put the letter in the column, say its sound, k. Our next letter is our digging dog. And do you see our digging dog? He has his tongue sticking out, so you can guess where he lives. So can you find him down here? There's the digging dog. So do you see our digging dog has its tongue sticking out? And do you see this? That's his tongue. Which way is the bump pointing? It's pointing towards the one direction. His tongue is not pointing towards the red reptile tree. So this is pointing towards the one direction, so it must be a tongue. And it is. It's our digging dog. So the digging dog lives over here. Notice how the digging dog has the cat in it, and it has the apple in it. And remember, the cat and the apple live over here. So the digging dog is chasing that apple. So he lives over there. And then you would put him in the column and say, duh. Just look at his bump. His bump's pointing towards the one direction, so put him in the one column. So, do you notice our animals all have their tongues sticking out, just like the one lefty dragon, and that's where they live? We call these tongue letters. So, anything that sticks their tongue out, we call them tongue letters, and they live in the one direction or in the left direction. Now I'm going to show you letters that would live by the red reptile tree on the right side by the number 3. So, for instance, let's look at this letter here. This is B, B, B. Do you see it? Now, I call this my bouncy bed. So, if you were to get on a bouncy bed and you bounced on it for a while and say "bubba bouncy," your lips would come together when you say that sound. So, look at the bump to see where it's pointing. Is the bump pointing towards the capital L building? It is not. But is the bump pointing towards the red reptile tree? It is. And notice how it has a road? You just follow the road. And it lives there. Buh. And notice how I have a pair of lips up here to remind you that there's 2 letters that live in this column. And this letter here can be tricky, and our other letter can be tricky too. So let's find the bouncy bed down here. Do you see it? Remember, it has a road. There it is. So you would pick up the letter and look to see where the bump is pointing. It's pointing towards the red reptile tree. Do you notice that it's pointing towards the red reptile tree? Also, I just said it's pointing towards the red reptile tree. Did you notice that the red reptile tree is in the letter? Yeah, there's a red reptile tree in the letter. So that's an easy way to spot the letter. Just spot the red reptile tree in the letter. So now you know which way it goes. Just look at the bump. Bump is pointing towards the red reptile tree, so follow the road. So this letter must have a road. So put it in the directional column and say B. So we call these letters on this side road letters. They're road letters because they have a road. You have to use your imagination and make a road on it. Now our next letter is P, P, P. And do you see this letter? This is our palace. Do you notice the lips? Because when you say the sound, your lips come together. P, P. And this is a tricky letter too. Now look at the bump. Which way is the bump pointing towards? Is it pointing towards the red reptile tree? It is. So it lives by the red reptile tree. It lives on the right side or the 3 side. And it has a road. So you follow the road. P. Now let's find the letter down here. Oh, there it is. P. Can you imagine the road on it? And all you have to do is look at the bump. Which way is the bump pointing? It's pointing towards the red reptile tree. So it has a road. So just follow the road. P. So it lives there. Now I want to show you a letter that lives in the middle. Do you see our tall, tall building? Well, we call this one because it has city lights. We call a tall building with city lights. And the sound for this is l, l, l. Notice that there's no bumps on this letter. Let's grab the actual letter. There it is. Notice how there's no bumps on this letter? There's no bumps going towards the left or the right. So guess what? It just lives in the middle. So this one gets to dance in the middle. So that would be a middle letter. No bumps pointing towards the left or right, so it lives in the middle. Now, let's look at another letter that lives in the middle. Let's look at this letter. I. This is my Indian elephant. And you'll learn more about the Indian elephant. He's also called the schwa. Now, notice that he does have a bump. See his bump? Now, his bump can point towards the left and towards the right. Since it does both, we just put him in the middle. So he gets to live in the middle. So that's I. The sound that I want to show you that lives in the middle is our dentist sound. Notice we have a dentist in the house. And notice she's working on someone's tooth. Notice they injured their tooth. Well, they thought they were biting into an apple, and it turned out to be a rock. So if you were at the dentist, she'd say open wide, and you'd say ah, ah, ah. So that's how we get the dentist sound. Notice our letter is round. It can kind of look like an apple, but it's a rock, so it can kind of look like a rock. Rocks are round. So do you see? It has bumps pointing towards the left and bumps pointing towards the right. So it gets to live in the middle. And the doctor sound is ah, ah, ah. That's your baby sound. or your short sound. Our next letter that I want to show you is this letter that lives in the middle. Now, do you notice that this letter has no bumps, but it has lines that go kind of from the left to the right? So the lines are kind of all over the place. So this letter gets to live in the middle. Any letters that kind of go all over the place get to dance in the middle. So you learn that we have 3 types of letters. We have letters that stick their tongue out, and remember, they're chasing that apple. So you also learn that we have middle letters, and letters that just kind of go down the middle get to live there. And letters that have bumps that point both ways towards the left and the right get to live there. And when a letter has lines that just go all over the place, it gets to live in the middle. And you learn that we have road letters. Notice these letters have roads. So if they're bumps pointing towards the right, they have a road. And you learn that red reptile tree is in this letter, and guess what? It's in this letter too. So you learn that these letters point towards the red reptile tree. So you learn that our letters actually have direction, and our letters have sounds. So we wanted to show you the pictures so that you understand which direction to put the letters in. Now we're going to go use our imagination and just use the letters to place them in the directional column and link their sounds. Remember, this is going to help with reading and spelling and handwriting. Okay, let's go use our imagination and put our letters in the directional columns and link their sounds. Okay, now we're just going to go through the whole alphabet. Remember, there's 26 of them. And remember, all we do is look at the bumps to see which way they're pointing. Or if it's pointing all over the place, it'll go in the middle. Don't worry, we'll help you. And remember, this is our one lefty dragon, so letters that have tongues will go this way. And you just follow the tongue. And then if the bump goes this way, you follow the bump to the road. Okay, we're going to do it in alphabetical order. So I'll call the sound. Ah, we'll find it. Determine which column it goes into. It points this way. And put it in the column and say ah. Let's go to the next one. The next one is B. Find it. Put it in the directional column. It goes this way. B. Our next one is tricky. This one I call K. And there's 2 letters that make this sound. These 2 letters here. This one I call my cat. And it looks like this. So you can kind of see he has a tongue. So his tongue goes this way. So my climbing cat goes this way. K, k, k. All right, I'll put this one back since we're going in alphabetical order. The next one is D, D, D. Find this one. This is my digging dog. And remember, digging dog's tongue goes this way. So, D, D, D. Next one is E, E, E. This one is tricky. But look at the bump over here. This I call my elephant. See his trunk? And I say that his tongue is sticking out over here, so you kind of have to imagine his tongue sticking out. So he lives over here, so we would put him there and say his baby sound or his short sound, eh. The next one is f, 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 and that's this one here. And this one here, I call this my favorite candy cane. And see its bow on it? And it hangs from the red reptile tree. So it lives over here. So let's put it over here. Just remember, it's a candy cane, and candy canes we sometimes hang from trees. And this is our tree, the red reptile tree. Okay, after f is g, g, g. And this one I call my goat. Do you see its tongue sticking out? So it lives over here. G. The next one, goats like to climb hills, so the next one is my hill. What you do is you look at his bump. Do you see the bump? And it's pointing towards the red reptile tree. So imagine a road on the hill and just follow the bump. The next one is I, and that one has a dot, remember? And remember, it just lives in the middle. So it lives in the middle, I. I wanted to show you a picture of my Indian elephant. Do you see it has one blue dot? Now the Indian elephant is important because it's the schwa. Schwa you'll learn about later. Anyways, he's the Indian elephant and he controls all the red letters, which are vowels. But I wanted to show you just a quick picture of the Indian elephant. So this is his eye and this is his trunk. See his eye and see his trunk? And he's the most powerful letter in the alphabet because he can take over sounds. Anyways, his sound is I. An easy way to remember his sound is see his trunk. Say you were running and you smell icky. So the Indian elephant decided to spray you off with his trunk. You would say I for icky. So that's the sound for the Indian elephant to remember. The next sound is ja, ja, ja. So that's my joking joker. Do you notice that he has a hat? And the joking joker has a jolly smile. See the jolly smile? It points to the left. Even though he doesn't have a tongue pointing towards the left, he has a smile going to the left. So he will live in the left. And let's find the joking joker. Do you see him? So here's his hat and here's his smile. So he lives over there. Ja. The next letter is k. And I'm going to bring a picture out for this because this is my king. And do you notice the king has a crown that's low? And he has a leg. And notice how he has a road? So you just follow that road. So here's the king down here. Do you see his crown? It's low. And remember, he has a road. So now that you know what he looks like, just follow the road. K. The next sound is oh. Can you find it down there? Remember, it's the tall building with the city lights. And remember, it just gets a dance in the middle. Oh. My next letter sound is So I would find it. And look at the bumps. It does have bumps and it's kind of all over the place. So it's going to live in the middle. And I call this my biggest mountain. Next one is and I call that one my little mountain. And the bump, there's only one bump here, so we're going to say it goes towards the red reptile tree. So we're going to put it over there. And after comes ah. And that's its baby sound or its short sound. And this letter is round. We're going to put it in the middle. So I would say ah. The next one is p. And I just find the bump and imagine a road. And it goes towards the red reptile tree. So that's p. My next sound is my queen. Qua. And do you see the bump? The bump is pointing towards the left or towards the one. And it's my queen holding the apple. And she has a dancing leg. So look at her tongue. This is her tongue. It's sticking out towards the left. So she lives over there. Qua. The next sound is ra. And that's this letter here. And this is our red reptile tree. Remember, we had a small red reptile tree in our picture. So this is the red reptile tree. And think of this as the road. So you just follow that road. Ra. The next letter is S. And that's Slimy the snake. And we kind of talked about him. He has a bump going towards the left and towards the right. He's a letter that's kind of all over the place. So if he's all over the place, he lives in the middle. S. Our next letter is T. And that's Tommy the turtle. This is for turtle. And turtles are round. He has a round shell. You'll learn about that later. That's going to help us with the sequence. And do you see that his letter kind of goes all over the place? So remember, letters that go all over the place just get to dance in the middle. So that's T. The next letter is And this letter here, I call him my up guy. I'm going to bring a picture out for him because he's a special letter. Here he is. Schwa. He's called the schwa too. Notice how he has wings just like our Indian elephant. And remember, the Indian elephant had one blue eye. He has two. So the queen gave him the eyes. So now he's super powerful. He rules the land. And you'll hear his sound throughout the English language. And he rules all the other red letters. You'll learn more about our red letters, which are our vowels. And he married the queen. But when he married the queen, guess what? He lost his power. So when he's with the queen, you only hear from the queen. Watch, say these sounds together. Qua. You only hear qua, the queen. He lost his power when he's with the queen. So just remember, his sound is when he's not with the queen. Is his sound. Now see his round nose? You can touch your nose and look up. Remember, he's the up guy. So if you're having a hard time remembering that sound, touch your nose and look up and say And when he's with the queen, remember, his sound is silent. You only hear from the queen. So now you learned about the schwa and the up guy. The next sound is and I call this my bird. See his beak? Do you see he has a pointy beak? And the lines are all over the place, so he lives in the middle. My next sound is wah, wah, wah. And do you see it's two beaks? So it's two birds that came together. I call that my watch out letter. And the sound for this is wah, wah, wah. And notice that the lines are all over the place, so that lives in the middle. Wah. My next sound is ks, ks, ks. I'm going to show you a picture for this one. There it is. There's our Sharpie scissors. Do you see our Sharpie scissors? Now, our Sharpie scissors have lines that just go all over the place, so it gets to live in the middle. And the Sharpie scissors sound is ks, ks, ks. Now, I'm going to show you two letters that make up that sound so you can remember the sound if you're having problems remembering it. So, do you see our king and snake? So say the king sound, k, then the snake sound, s, and then blend them. Ks, ks, ks. That's the sound for the Sharpie scissors. Okay, now that you've learned about our Sharpie scissors, it lives in the middle just because the lines go all over the place. The next one is ya, 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 and that's our yak that got a haircut. And I'll show you his letter. His letter looks like this. So his letter looks like he got a haircut. So there it is. Do you see his letter? And doesn't it look like this letter here, but it's missing a leg or it's missing some hair? So this is the yak that got a haircut. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Notice he's getting a haircut by the scissors. So just remember, yak got a haircut. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he lives over here in the middle by the scissors because his lines go all over the place. The next one is z, z, z. And this one has the number 7 in it. Do you see it? And it has a bed. Doesn't this line look like a bed? So just remember, it's 7 o'clock. Time to get to bed and dream about our sounds. Z, z, z. And remember, this letter is all over the place. So it gets to live in the middle. Z, z, z. Well, you just learned all 26 letters have direction and they live in the directional columns. And they all have sounds. So now we want to show you our pictures. Now that you've used your imagination by placing our letters into the directional columns, you learned that tongue letters live on this side. And most of our letters will be sticking their tongue out, and they're after the apple. And you learn that the joking joker lives here as well because his smile goes towards the left, and the up guy is just married to the queen, so he lives there. So you learn that there are middle letters too, and our middle letters just sometimes point in different directions, so they live in the middle, and sometimes they just go right down the middle, so they live in the middle. And you learn that we have road letters. Notice our letters that live by the red reptile tree all have a road. And something else I wanted to show you is look at this letter here. Do you see the red reptile tree in the letter? And even in this letter, the red reptile tree is there. And even in this letter, there's a red reptile tree. Even in our Paulus, there's a red reptile tree. So now that you learned that we have road letters, and now that you've learned that you can link these letters to our directional columns and our letters have sounds, Just remember, our letters have direction. So now you can practice putting the letters in the directional columns. Remember, this is going to help with reading, spelling, and handwriting. So now you can start our handwriting program after you've done this one time. So now we thank you for watching Directional Learning, and we can't wait to teach you more.